theatre has been thought of as an elitist kind of culture. And, you know, for the longest time, there's always been a audience. Those are people acting. I mean, the performers are there, and the audience is here, and we just sit, we watch, we laugh, we cry, we go home. What happens when you bring the audience into the performance world and you make them a part of their world, make the audience a part of the performance world? Is it still theatre, or then does it become our form, and by our I mean Africans, form of theatre? With our kind of theatre is storytelling. You know, where we'd sit in circles and we'd watch people dance, sing, you know, tell our stories, but really involve and engage and become the monster and become Tsilani, the little girl. You know what I'm saying? That's where theatre started for me, and that for me was when theatre was most effective. When I had my grandmother saying, and Tsilani was like, you know what I'm saying? That for me was, okay, this is it. So I thought to myself, how do I bring this beautiful culture that we have into a modern context? Because we're also moving into a world of constant development and constant change. How do we retain our Africanism and still incorporate people that are a part of it in this metropolitan place that we live in, where cultures are constantly intertwining and mixing and whatever? How many of us sit with our domestic workers and know what they're going through? How many of us look at a successful woman in her Range Rover and think, it's nice for her, she's got money and whatever? How many of us know what she's going through when the doors are closed? How many of us know that she cries herself to sleep? Or, you know what I'm saying? There's so much that is seen, but there's so little that is told, and there's so little that is understood. And I think as a director, I wanted to take the risk to learn more about women and to tell their stories. I've got 4 very strong women who each have a very powerful light that they bring into the process. How do I incorporate this into one thing? And how do I also not impose what I'm doing? Because, you know, it's one thing for me to say I'm a director, I'm a writer, and it's my play, I wrote it on my own, because then it just becomes my story. If I incorporate other stories, then it's researched stories. It's not shared stories. There's nothing as effective as shared stories. Hopefully one day to have different women of different calibers sitting in the performance venue and being part and parcel of their own stories, as opposed to watching them and saying, no, but that's not entirely true, you know? So yeah, and that's why the set is not even your conventional proscenium arch stage setup where it's the stage and it's the audience. Because, you know, if you're trying to involve people, if you're trying to move people, you need to involve them. You cannot be a dictator and expect people to listen. Only few people will listen to you because maybe they don't have a backbone, or they don't know what's going on, or they just want to be cool, or they were told to do so they're just going to do it. But if you want an effective reaction, you need to involve those people and make them feel like they are part and parcel of what is being said, what is being done, and that they too are being considered as important parts of this movement. Before my cast and I rehearse, we have about 30 minutes that we kill, where we just gossip and talk and just we let it out, we vent, we tell, oh, my day was like this is what's happening, we catch up, we talk about different women in our lives. And that's how the rehearsal process started. It started off as a simple conversation, and you'll be amazed at the stories that come out from a single conversation. And from those stories, we decided, guys, which stories are the most effective, which stories speak to us and speak to most women out there, which stories are not being spoken of that we find comfort in speaking about Harley Fife? You hear me? Which stories do people want to hear? What did you go through as a kid that really screwed you over, that has kind of changed your perception of life and the way you think and whatever? And someone would say this, that, and the other, and I'll be like, hey, I went through that too. Hey, I went through that too. Hey, I went through that too. Next thing you know, there are 5 women in a room, all from different backgrounds, who share a similar story.